Hello, let me check in again with Superior, the return of Race Science by Angela Sani, who is doing, you know, as far as I can tell, a pretty good job preaching to the choir here that, all this race science is just pseudoscience dressed up to justify people's bigoted bigoted opinions and political gains and economic strategies, um, thrusts for power, to turn populations against other populations for no other reason than it's going to benefit them politically. There is actually a really good thing in here about how, um, while science seems to have kind of gone with, you know what, this whole thing of race, of making divisions in the human populations is a fiction, is a some is a social historical construct that doesn't actually have any basis in actual biology, and that making the point that, like, Sani, who is of it's Pakistani descent, probably has more in common genetically with her English downstairs neighbor than she does with somebody in her own village. That the variations that there are, um, the very superficial ones of skin color, hair, eye color, facial features are actually are actually kind of minor, and there's probably more variations within groups, the traditional groups that we think of like a geographic group, than there is between big regions and stuff like that. Um, Definitely a good section here on how the old eugenic stuff like that kind of got thrown out, not thrown out, but got thrown in disrepute, deservedly so, with the Nazis. Um, that it just simply kind of transformed and started talking about diversity, taking a lot of the language of the left and just applying it over as a papering over of its own um, kind of racist stuff. A lot of stuff here about how there's just like a small kind of like ecosystem of these pseudoscience journals where one would cite the other, would cite the other, would cite the other. Interestingly enough, the bell curve citing um, papers from these pseudoscience journals that aren't peer reviewed. It's basically it's a soapbox to preach to the other racist people and to cite each other and support each other, and that they weren't read, they weren't being read by scientists, they were being read by white nationalists and other people like that. So it's just a really grimy, gross world, and also one that became more and more powerful and influential as time has gone on. Um, Citing how Reagan was appointing people to his to kind of crucial kind of cabinet positions who were under the table publishing racist articles in these journals, um, and how with someone like Donald Trump, this stuff has become even more and more prevalent, and just all the kind of conspiracy theory, if it's anti-Semitism, um, racist against people of color, all the kind of the bell curve, people of who are of darker skin or of lower intelligence, all this kind of stuff, replacement theory, the watering down of stuff, but also how genetics has gotten pulled into this as sort of a thing of like groups, maybe not even racist groups, trying to look at diversity in our genome, and ending up looking for differences amongst different groups, and going to isolated groups to wanting to study their genome, and those groups now being like, hey, scientists have fucked us over for a good couple of 100 years now. Maybe we aren't going to cooperate with you. Um, and you say you're not racist, but you're looking for differences in, which is definitely something that um, can be ammunition that's going to be used um, by racist groups, saying like, oh, this group is different, therefore they are lesser than us. So that's being a minefield, and just also this whole thing of saying, okay, race is not a scientific fiction, but you've called it something else. But really, it's another way of conceptualizing people as races versus as one group, and what's up with that. And it is one of those things that I am a part of uh, this culture, and as much as I can kind of to say, okay, science says race is a construct and things like that, yet I regularly say, when I mean there's a I'll regularly say, well, I'm a white guy talking about something that I don't know anything about. Now, am I saying that because I'm biologically different than the people who, like a native person, or a black person whose ancestry comes out of the continent of Africa? No, I'm saying it because of I don't I because of my appearance, I am treated differently in Canada. I don't face the same discriminations. I don't have the same uh, that history going back in my family that someone who is black or someone who is native does have. So it is a kind of it's an intertwined thing. It's far more a cultural historical thing. It is a cultural historical thing versus biology, though. I would that's and so But you can find people slipping into the whole thing of, oh, there's a biology there too, somehow, which is nasty and insidious. And you have to remember that we still really hold a lot of the racist assumptions and bedrocks are still very ingrained in our society, in our history, in our literature, in our thought. Yeah, yeah. So it's an interesting book. Some ways I wonder if it is a preaching to the choir, but I mean, it's fucking racist. So it's like we're not going to start off by giving them a benefit of the fucking doubt. They're racist. Uh, they, yeah, yeah. So I'll suck that up. All right. I will leave it there for right now. More videos later.